Okay, let's be honest, Arc Raiders probably could have launched by now. If you played the last tech test, you'd probably agree. It's honestly one of the best looking multiplayer games I've ever played. It ran smooth and I didn't have any crashes, and the general vibe from the community was like, yeah, this feels done. And then they dropped that weird little secret countdown, mixed in with cryptic messages like the Rust Belt doesn't stay quiet for long. Everyone thought it was shadow dropping. The hype was real. It had that energy where you're like, wait, are they actually about to do this? And to top it off, the day before, Jeff Keighley posted a photo of Scrappy the Rooster on the Summer Game Fest stage. And then, all we got was just a release date. Not even a beta or early access, just a cinematic trailer with a release date. And oh boy, the community was not happy about that. It felt like a massive letdown. I'm not disappointed that it didn't release. I'm disappointed at how they built all this hype just for a release date. As for Arc Raiders not releasing, I'm happy about that, and I'll explain why throughout this video. Most studios would have jumped on that moment, dropped something early, rushed it out just to ride the wave. Embark didn't. They waited, and that says a lot. It shows how much they care about actually making the best game they can, not just cashing in while people are looking. That takes balls and conviction. After making my deep dive on Embark and the 6-year dev cycle behind Arc Raiders, I walked away with a lot of respect for them. And honestly, they've kind of became one of my favourite studios. I first heard about Embark back when the finals was launching, but I didn't realise just how stacked this team really was, or how much funding and freedom they had behind the scenes. These are people who helped build series like Battlefield, Dead Space, Dragon Age, Need for Speed, the whole EA Sports portfolio, entire genres really. And now they've been working on Arc Raiders for 6 years. It's gone through multiple revisions in that time. They've scrapped systems, changed the entire genre, but they've never rushed it just because it looked playable. Arc Raiders was meant to come out before the finals, but because of all these changes, they decided to hold off. It doesn't feel like a game chasing trends. It feels like something being built with love and soul, not just another cash grab forced out by deadlines. Even the way they talk about the game feels different. There's no overproduced cinematic trailers every 2 weeks, no bloated PR speak, just trailers and updates when it actually makes sense, when they've got something real to show and announce. And even when they do fuck up, like with that countdown mess, they didn't just ignore it. They could have done what a lot of studios did and just like gaslight the community, putting the blame on us for their mistakes. They actually owned it, said they got caught up in the moment, apologized and moved on. That kind of openness and honesty goes a long way. Arc doesn't feel like a flash in the pan kind of game. There's just something about it that feels like it's meant to last. Everything about it just has so much depth. The world actually feels real. The sound design is crazy. And one of the things I love most is the PvE enemies. They're not just some half-baked afterthought like most games in this genre. They're baked into the world and lore. They've got real mechanics built around them. Half the time you don't even want to mess with them unless you're ready. It's such a refreshing change. Arc Raiders seems like it could be something that actually sticks around. There's so much room for it to evolve and expand. It doesn't feel like they're trying to go viral. It feels like they're trying to make something people actually want to come back to. I'm working on a video that goes into that side of things. Why Arc Raiders might be the next big multiplayer game. The kind that builds a real supportive community. So consider subscribing and joining me on this journey up until launch if that interests you. We're so close to 2,000 subs, it's literally been edging me. Anyway, meanwhile the rest of the industry's kind of on fire. Studios are laying people off left and right. Games are launching broken and unfinished, sometimes barely functional. And the crazy thing is, it's become so common nobody's shocked anymore. But the thing is, it's not the devs doing this. It never is. It's the people up top. The publishers, the execs, the ones making the big calls who probably haven't played a game in 10 years. Look at something like Claire Obscure. That was made by ex-Ubisoft devs. The same people, just with actual freedom now. And they've created one of the best RPGs I've ever played. And you can tell it was made by people who give a shit. It really sucks that we only seem to get that kind of creativity once people leave the big studios. Like the only way to make something meaningful is to escape first. Growing up, I wanted to be a 3D artist. That was my dream. I remember sitting on a busted old laptop trying to model these awful little spaceships. They weren't good, but I loved it. It felt like this whole world I could shape and build something in. Then, life got in the way. I never really got the chance to chase that dream. And now looking at the state of the industry, I can't help but feel like I dodged a bullet. Because the people doing the work, the modelers, the level designers, the animators, the programmers, they care deeply. They didn't spend years learning this craft just to push out unfinished work. They got into it because they loved games and the creativity that comes with making them. And now most of the time, they're getting crushed under deadlines, layoffs, and management that doesn't even see them. When Death Stranding 2 dropped the other week, I've seen so many posts about how good it looks, and all the praise was just going to the Decima engine, not the artist responsible for it. Which sucks because there's people that poured their hearts out into that. People that sat down and placed every rock, painted every texture, tweaked every lighting pass. This stuff doesn't just happen, it's made. And the people making it deserve the credit. That's why Arc Raiders caught me off guard, because it feels like something that actually had time put into it. Something where people behind it weren't scrambling to meet a deadline. They were just given space to make something good. And in the past years, where so many games feel like they're being shoved out the door to hit a quarterly target, that means something. So many games these days feel like they're being shoved out the door before they're ready. Not because the devs didn't care, but because someone up top decided it was time. You see it in stuff like Golem or the Suicide Squad, or even Forspoken, games that probably could have been decent if they were given the time they needed. It didn't used to be like this. There was a time when new games actually felt exciting, not like a gamble. And the part that sucks, we've lowered the bar so far that just working is enough to call something a success. So when a studio decides to wait, take a breath and actually finish what they started, that stands out. It gives me hope. Not just someone who plays games, but as someone who still loves the industry and wants better for the people who make it what it is. Bit of a side note, but there are two smaller studios I've been following lately that have really impressed me. Aggro Crab and Landfall Games. They recently teamed up to release a game called Peak. If you haven't heard of it, it's a co-op game about working together to climb massive mountains that change each day. What I love about these kind of studios is they're doing something I've always wondered why more people aren't doing. Even the bigger studios, why not just split off a few teams to work on smaller fun focused projects, instead of going all in on these massive risky blockbusters every time. But Aggro Crab and Landfall are actually doing it, and they're making it work. They're finding huge success with weird creative stuff that has personality behind it. It's just cool to see. I kinda want to dive into both studios a bit more and do a full video on them. So if that's something you'd be into, let me know in the comments. They seem like teams that are really worth paying attention to. But yeah, as for Arc Raiders, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it stumbles, maybe it launches and it's just alright. Maybe October 30th is just pushing the devs towards an unreasonable deadline. That's always on the table. But from all the research I've done over the past few months, it really doesn't seem like it. They've delayed it and changed it so many times based on feedback from game testers. That's not a team trying to force something out, that's a team listening. A team that clearly wants to make the best product possible. And seeing the state that this industry's in now, that's enough to make me want to see it win. I really hope it finds an audience. I hope it grows into whatever it wants to be. Because if it does do well, maybe that sends a message. Maybe it shows there's still room for teams who actually give a shit. And I think that's worth rooting for. If you're into this kind of video, just honest thoughts, no fake hype, consider sticking around. I've got so much planned for this channel that I'm excited to share more about soon. So if you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. And I don't know how much more edging I can take before we hit 2,000 subs. And if you made it this far, let me know in the comments what games you think were made by people who still care. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching. Take care.